spend only what you can afford.
Hmm.
Don't spend beyond your means. Never.
Turtles we never saw.
Turtle point.
So, hi everyone. Today is my first time actually hosting the podcast. She's the expert in it and she's handed it over to me. It's very exciting to do the third episode of the Founders Podcast because we have a very special guest who is proactive, active, bubbly, so much fun to have a chat with. An expert in managing finances. It's none other than Zahrah's mom, Sharmim Fasi, and I will continue to call her auntie during this, not by her name because I feel closest to her then. You can call her Uma, Zahrah, it's fine. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Auntie, so how do you first of all feel about coming on to our podcast?
I'm happy to be here.
I am excited to have you. You can see I have like a hanger stuck in my mouth kind of feeling. So, Auntie, I'm going to look at some of the questions that we have set up over here for you. All right, because it's my first time, guys. So, forgive me with the questions. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself and how you learnt about managing money. Anything about yourself.
Actually, I've never managed money as such until I became a single parent.
Ooh, talk to us about it, Auntie. Go ahead, continue.
Right? Always everything was provided for me. So it was never an issue until I became a single parent with the 3 children.
Right. And
So that's the only time I had the time. I had to manage my own finances.
and how did that feel? Like to go from okay, this is not an issue for me, and now oh geez, it's an issue. I have 3 kids and myself.
Yes, and yes, actually, till then it never. I never bothered about those things. It was everything was sort of running smoothly.
But did you learn from your parents or your family members or like later from somebody else, like how they managed?
Yeah, my mother-in-law taught me a lot about budgeting.
Huh? What are some of the
So
standout tips?
budgeting, like first and foremost, it was a kitchen,
Ah,
the food, for the month, the budget for the month, the food allowances, everything had to be in place. Then the electricity bill, this, that, salary, servants, I mean, when we have domestics, their salaries, everything was divided into certain portions and not touched until that time. Soon as you get the lump sum, you divide for everything. That's how I did.
so thanks to your mother-in-law.
Thanks to my mother, from my mother-in-law, I learned a lot.
And what else did you learn from her? So you started with the kitchen, then you had the salaries that you had to pay, then you're looking at the utilities. Was there anything else that really helped from your learnings from her?
Then, then it became a smoother life. You know, you don't live on the edge, so to speak.
Right. And did you feel like at one point you were living on the edge when you didn't know how to do it as a single mom? When you were learning?
No, I was very secure actually. I was fortunate in the sense that I had everything provided for me. So I was very secure. But the thing is, the running of a household and things like that needed a lot of care.
Can you tell more about that? When
Like-
you say you needed more care?
In the sense, we had to wait not till the end of the month. You had to see that everything runs smoothly, no?
Yeah.
And children are fed, so everybody in the house has to be
Managed.
managed, no?
So, Auntie, how did you figure out, like, prioritizing needs, what is wanted, and the savings? How?
What is
when you
an
talk-
extra unnecessary expense or
Exactly.
what's a luxury or what is needed, things like that.
Because I'm talking to 2 mothers who both are managing households. So yeah, how did you figure that? And maybe Zara, later you can talk about how you figure it. Auntie, go first.
Now, thing was, the luxury is in the sense we.
How did you allocate the money for
அது
each
வந்து
thing?
தேவையானது இது எனக்கு விருப்பம் I want it and then later you realize okay no but we have to save for this like maybe
Yeah.
the kids had something in
What
school. How did you decide it?
proportion of each thing did you like? For example, some people say have 30% savings every month. You know, like, or did you have a plan or?
No such thing. The thing is, always my money was in the savings. Always. I always kept my capital in the savings. I had a certain amount which I always saw to it that every month that amount has to be in the savings.
So you worked it out by okay I have such an amount already in my account. As the month ends, this has still to be the buffer. This has to be the minimum.
This,
It
I
cannot go
always had a
below.
buffer.
It cannot go below that.
No.
So that's how you started to
Yes.
figure out
Yes.
whether it is your, even if this is a needed thing, if this is a wanted thing, or if this is a savings, you decided like as long as that buffer
was
is not
there.
going to go,
Yes.
it's not going to go less than the
Yes.
buffer.
Yes.
Hey, that's also a really
Right.
nice strategy, right?
Yes, because like for a lot of businesses, you also need to have a certain running expenses. You have running expenses, but also you need to, like for example, in a bank account, if you open, you need to have a certain amount that is there. So your
The
cash,
minimum, like
the
in a
minimum,
current account,
not minimum.
50,000.
Well, that is to maintain an
Yeah.
account, Rushma. I mean, like to just make sure that your business doesn't go bankrupt, right? You
Right,
need
yeah,
a
in that
certain
sense.
amount to be cash rich, and you can't overspend and cover that up kind
It's
of
not
thing.
like a credit
So
card.
and in those days there were no credit cards. So I always stuck to that.
You spent what you had.
Yes,
You
I
didn't-
spent.
You didn't spend what you didn't have. Like that's what the credit
Yes.
card concept is, right? You spend what you don't have. It's like
Yes, yes.
borrowing from Kanti for
Yes.
us.
But now I don't take. I had a credit card, but I thought it is not a suitable thing for me. I didn't like to live. It made me very uncomfortable. To once or twice I took from that, and then I didn't like it so much. I didn't like it. It was like living on the edge, So I gave up the credit card. I have a debit card, but
Yeah, what you have, you spend.
yes.
Auntie, from this experience, what is the one thing that you would say you would want every person to know about managing money? Like if you were to advise
Spend only what you can afford. Don't spend beyond your means. Never.
That's true, solid advice.
Huh?
Solid advice. Zara, are you following that?
Yeah. I mean,
Yes. Huh?
I don't spend at all. That's why my
What
husband
I'm
buys.
saying is I never
She
spend.
said spend what you can afford. She's gone to the next level. Don't spend at all.
No, never spend beyond your means.
So when did you always stick strictly to your budget, or were you sometimes were there
I'm an
times?
impulsive buyer for your
And an eater.
information.
Oh, how did you manage that? That's interesting because lots of businesses also these current days, because of social media and everything, you think you need something, you need the most fanciest thing to succeed, so you have to, they try to keep buying to
It's
grow.
not
How
for
did you manage it?
It's not for succeed or something that I like now. So if I go and if I see something that I really like, I'll buy it immediately if I have money.
And how did
in
your
the hand.
kids help you manage that? If
No, but
if you
like
had
what
money.
why? How would you know if you're going to stick to your monthly budget then?
No, I know that monthly budget is already done no, at the beginning of the month.
And as long as you're not going below that buffer.
Yes,
Do you have like a
I have a small surplus.
amount for
Just I know everything is paid for, everything is looked out. My electricity bill, my water bill, gas bill, everything is all kept aside.
So, what did you used to do with a surplus? Like month on month, let's say
If
some
it
days
gets
you spend extra.
collected-
Yeah, if it gets collected,
If
how did you
it
manage
gets
it?
collected, I keep it for a holiday with the children.
Okay.
We used to go on trips, and
So thank you, Uma. It's a good thing to see now.
we used to go on trips, family trips. And of course, I had got a vehicle. I could get a vehicle, and we take the whole family and low budget. Now those days we never went to 5-star hotels.
Right.
Just houses like by the sea we book
Oh,
and
those chalets and
yeah,
stuff.
this like that we book and take our food and everything we to cook there.
Zara, you're laughing because please go ahead.
He's going to tell about the turtles we never saw.
Turtle Point. Actually, we went there like that, and I was misled. No, I came back and scolded him also on the phone.
We can
I
have a
never
bit
saw
of
a
a
single.
sidetrack over here. What's the story? What did you scold about?
There were no turtles.
It was called Turtle Point.
So,
When I called and asked, he said there are turtles you can see. And they said when I went and looked for turtles, no, they don't come.
surplus of no turtles you had. And
But anyway, we had a good time in Kalpiti at that time.
oh, it's a nice
We have been to
place, actually.
Batiklo, Jaffna.
Mm.
Everywhere we went. During the peace talks first,
Yeah.
that's the time I thought, no, then the children were small. Then I thought, no, they'll never see Jaffna like we have done. And I quickly took them to Jaffna.
And came. Wow, interesting, Auntie. That's kind of living on the edge also.
Yeah.
Okay. So when during this time, now you're talking about when you had a surplus, what you did. Were there times when you had a crisis, like you had a lack of, you needed a little bit more? Then what did you do then? How did you manage it?
Do you have another fund that people should like keep for crisis or?
Yes, I have another small amount that I keep for an emergency.
So this is interesting. You have your budget, you have your that buffer account where it shouldn't go below minimum, and then also you have something else set aside like a rainy day fund or something. Is it?
Rainy day, saving for a rainy day. But that I don't touch that account.
That
Those
is a no
I
way
had two
touching.
accounts. Nobody knows that. I mean, I keep that as a.
Well done, Auntie. High five. Don't keep me hanging.
No.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
of course, I have only one account. Those days, I had two accounts, so I keep that other account only for certain emergencies.
And Auntie, how did you at that time, as a single mom with 3 kids, how did you decide what was a rainy day for you?
If suddenly a child gets sick, something
illnesses.
happens, but anyway, always their father only helped. So that was there for me. I had a lot of support from him.
That's actually really good to acknowledge,
That's-
having that support.
He supported me right along. Now when Talib broke his arm, then for an
My brother.
yes, and he only did all the expenses. Those lump sum expenses he did, big expenses. But I still managed with whatever I had. No, I even took them abroad to India also.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's like with what you had,
Yeah.
you accumulated surplus. Not only did you do local trips, but you also doing international trips. That's amazing.
No, then they were small and that's a package. No?
Still,
So-
Auntie, those days it's not like now because like Zara, how is it like based on in the same vein of conversation? How is it now when you think about what your mom is sharing?
Well,
you in budgeting?
it's definitely more expensive to travel with inflation and the economy, but I think the principle is solid. Like, yeah, you have.
I invested some money in land.
Yep, you not only managed it, but you also invested some money,
Yes.
right?
Why did you think investing in land was important at that time?
And how
Land is something we have always been told. Now Sri Lanka is a place where the population grows, where the land doesn't grow. We are an island. Land is always valuable. Huh? Even a small plot of land is valuable any day.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's an investment. That's what it is. Right? You
That's
put the
it was
money
just
and
an
you reap the
investment.
benefits
So,
later.
with that I kept it for some time. I just put the money in, dumped the money in the land and just waited until.
How did you decide on that? How did you figure that, okay,
I had some.
I'm
Yes.
going to invest
No,
in the
somebody
land
came and told me there is a land close by. I thought this is the best place, this is the best amount to
How long
go
ago
for
did you do that?
It's about when Talib was about 18. That was the time before that, when they were small. I was thinking of building a house. Then I thought, no point, I have a house. Pointless, just unnecessarily dumping money in those things.
That's also true.
Huh?
That's also true.
I already have a house, no, might as well buy a land and keep in case I need it. Then it came, for my luck, it came close to my place and they were saying this is, and then one of my uncles suggested that I buy. I thought it was a good idea and quickly went for it and bought it, but then it tripled
In
the value.
So you
Value
reap the
tripled.
benefits also.
Yes, and then when the time came, I sold it someone. Someone wanted it, I quickly sold it.
Well done, auntie.
Huh?
Nice.
I thought
You
better.
look like you have a question for her.
No, my question was, you said that you are an impulsive buyer, right? But then for household management and businesses, financial discipline is important, right? So how do you still maintain financial discipline while being an impulsive buyer?
Impulsive buyer in the sense I don't buy big things.
Sinna saman that you
Similar
sound like.
small things, like if I fancy a nice set of glasses, something like that. Nothing.
So I think
or
your,
some. Huh?
your rule is applying over here in everything that she said. Purchase what you can afford.
Only if you can afford.
So your
What I
impulsivity
can't
is
afford,
also
I don't buy. Now I don't have lives. I have to live with that. That sort of
Right.
thing. No, I don't. I am content with what I have.
okay. So that's how you managed it.
My wants are few in life.
How did you manage the wants of the kids?
That's
Because
all.
when it came to the finance, you had 3 kids.
Yes. So ask what they lacked. They didn't lack for anything.
Well done, auntie. Zahrah, you have
What did you
something
lack?
you want to say.
Well,
Books, food.
there's
Huh?
basic pyramid of needs.
Like what did you lack? You can tell me what you
Yeah,
lack.
but that's also because we didn't grow up in this age. There wasn't so much access. Like, we didn't even have the internet for a long time.
Oh my god, remember that time when you needed.
But even then, when the internet came, you all got
We
internet.
got dial-up, so we just...
We only had dial up, Zahrah.
Yeah,
There were no options. Or option, get dial up, done. So, what about you now? Like, when you hear what your mom has said, right? And then you living in this day and age, you're a very fresh mother, you're mother of 2, right? A newborn and a 3-year-old. How is that for you managing your household?
It's okay, but then we have more expenses also, because when we were growing up, we didn't eat out as much also, no? So
Yeah,
now
that
we
was
do. So there are a lot of options weren't available, like in Candy. We are recording in Candy.
Just so you know.
We didn't have restaurants, and only when we were teenagers.
Why we used to go to the flower drum and
That was like for
those things?
birthdays.
Yes, something like that. Yes.
No, she's referring to like weekly eating
Yeah,
out
we
or
didn't
something, or
weekly,
every
there was
3-4 days.
There was
No.
no Pick Me.
Yeah.
There was Dynamo came like when we were in school,
Grade
like A level or something.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very late.
Later, yeah.
Even
right?
then we used to go, no, to Dynamo
Yeah.
now and then we
Like
used
a
to go.
treat, right? Not an everyday. But now we have no choice. We have both work, so we have to order food sometimes, and then of course Montessori fees are so expensive. Everything is way more costlier now.
And now it's like you need this or you need that or you
Yeah.
need something. So a parent is also sometimes pushed into certain purchases.
Yeah, and
Right?
Montessori
Like
asks for
concerts
random
and
things.
stuff that
Yes.
you may not.
No, we never spent for those things those days. Montessori, buying all these
Costumes.
costumes and this and that.
And contribution to the concerts and stuff, even if
Yeah.
you're not involved in it.
Such expenses we didn't have. No.
No obligatory expenses from outside.
Yeah.
But you were saying the principles still apply.
Yeah.
What your mom has said, right? So how do you use those, or have you adapted it? Are you using apps for budgeting? Like you used to write it down, your budget? No, Mindler.
How
was
much
her
is
brain.
she remembers every expense she makes.
Wow. I have
I
not
don't
remembered every expense.
No, the
I've
thing
had.
is, those days I had the bank book, no.
Right.
Other part I know how much I have taken.
Huh. Okay, so
How
you know how
much?
much you've withdrawn.
Hmm.
But did you know how what you spent your money on specifically?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I have monthly my house bill,
Right.
my kitchen. My first thing I do is buy the stocks for the month.
She buys
That
wholesale.
that's
I
a
don't
budget.
buy wholesale.
Huh?
I don't buy wholesale for the month.
I buy wholesale because we had a big crowd in the house. I had the driver, I had the cook, servant, then my mother was living, all my mother's expenses, those things. Everything, so everything I had to budget. I had the monthly, first thing I do is do those things. Anyway, people can't starve now in the house.
So I think your mom's focus went from what you can afford and ensure that you don't have an empty tummy.
Ah,
That's how you operated,
Yes.
it sounds like. How about you?
Well, we have wants now.
such as.
Well, we have to socialize, eat out, and then toys on Facebook to buy, things like that.
So those are not essential items, no?
That's why I said it's wants.
So now, how do you manage those finances? You,
Well, it's because
new age
my
mom.
mother could operate with one income. Now for me, but both my husband and I work,
Yeah.
and we work like at least 2 jobs each, right? We do each work multiple jobs. So that's how we manage. It is not that we can manage within a certain income. We just have to add to the income. So she has a fixed income, and then she has to manage with that.
So, and you also have invested as well, right? Which
Yeah.
was, how
So-
did you set about doing those investments?
So whatever extra, like for example, if I do some job and I get an extra income, I save that, and that
The
adds
surplus
up.
plan.
Yeah, the surplus plan. But I also like now we have these opportunities like funds, right? Like wealth funds and things like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
where you can put the money in and that grows. So things like
So
that,
like passive
yeah,
something.
like passive something. So I think a lot of the people, what they do now is hustling, I guess. They have multiple jobs, right? Like you like
Small
can-
gigs here and
small
there.
gigs here and there that come in, right? So it's kind of different approach in a way.
That is true, because at the time that you were a mother, the way the access to information and knowledge, and you know how this marketing created a want in your mind was very limited. Newspaper edta, there is a big advertisement on the front page, that's it. The kids may not see it, nobody sees it. Or you had the TV, and we used to play outside a lot. And nowadays, the way the world has changed becomes so rapid. You're in a
Even the
situation
monthly
like you.
paper bill I had to pay. I
Yeah.
budget,
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
that's the thing. And now with her as a new age mother, even though the concepts apply, the requirement, the need, and the volume of adjustment and having money going into that fund, it feels like it's a bottomless barrel.
True, but then I also follow the same principle. I don't spend what I don't have. Like if I spend something, then I'm like, okay, I have to earn that back.
Yeah,
that is the
right.
main thing.
You have to somehow fill it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
This month if you spend 2 months, next month nothing.
Okay. Did you have that?
இந்த நாளும் பிரியாணி எல்லாம்.
And then sometimes you have people like me who try to do endanalum biryani. Even if we don't have, somehow, please, I want it. Well, Auntie, thank you so much for this conversation. I really, really enjoyed it.
I don't know if how helpful it was.
It was, because you know what was interesting to me is how you notice as you evolved in your journey as a woman, as a parent, as a single parent, and now a grandmother, right? You're talking about how you had multiple accounts for when you had all these responsibilities, and now you figure you're by yourself, you're in your accommodation, you have your domestic, you have everything, and you are now managing through a single account. Like you get to that stage in life where it's simple. So it's actually a good reminder for all of us to actually have a look at, like, what is your rainy day fund, what is it that you're making as a savings, how much you're having as a minimum, how strict are you or disciplined are you with yourself to ensure I don't go beyond below this minimum, so that you don't spend
That
what you
buffer
don't
has
have.
to be there always.
Exactly. And then you have your expense account.
So,
Then to see that you never borrow and become a that I hate one thing is being indebted to anybody. I never borrowed
She's the same.
from anybody. If I can help it, actually I never borrowed. So for with Allah's grace, I have never borrowed. But I don't wish that for anybody else as well.
Right.
yeah, but businesses
Sometimes
have to
you have
borrow.
to, no, and then what I
No,
really
business.
like.
Business is borrowing means you put back. No, anyway you have to pay back,
Yeah.
and then that becomes this thing. I mean that is closed.
You know what I also like about what you said, and it's very important for businesses to acknowledge this also. And if you're a lady at home watching this, that sometimes you have support and sometimes you may not have the same support. So don't compare. Like,
No.
why am I not doing like Auntie Charmin, or why am I not doing like Zahrah? Because they have a different form of support.
Yeah.
Their journey, their starting was totally different. It's going to be the same for every woman run household and for every business as well. Like these are actually, like, I really like that you were able to say, hey, the big lump expenses, I didn't have to handle that from my existing budget. There was some form of
Somebody,
support.
yes.
So even in your business, look at like, where are you taking from, whom are you supported by, and who are the what's your
And
system.
other thing is, I am not a person who will want to dress. I can wear the same dress every day. I am not a person who will change saris for this, that. No, of course, for different functions I need good saris. And that's a
Your
different
face.
No, I'm saying normal wear every day. I don't dress. I mean, I can wear the same sari to 2-3 places every day. I mean,
You don't have a need to have something new, which is again very important for a business. As something comes up, as the new fad comes up, don't get carried away with it. Do what you have, manage what you
with
have.
the same dress I have, I can manage. I don't have to buy for this, buy for that.
Last thoughts that you want to share.
Because Rushma, I think remember we saw this video where this Samudra de Silva, she said, she's a CEO of a company, I think, finance company. She said that only 30% of Sri Lankan women, when at the end of their lifetime, have income, right? I think my mother has been very lucky and fortunate, and she has been very smart about her money. And she's one of the 30% that has her own income and doesn't have to depend on others, right? So that itself is an achievement, right? Out of 30% to be in part of that 30%. So I think there is like some important lessons we can learn from her.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Thanks to good children as well.
Zahrah. Look at that.
My children are also very supportive now.
There you go. So they are the extra support. So you've done well and supported them. They've learned from that and they're able to give back. What do you think?
And the alimony.
Okay, continue. You had something to say, so you can finish that thought. Going back to Zahrah's thought.
Nature has given my mother a sense of humor.
Yeah, that is true. So if you work towards putting together these plans that we've actually spoken about, simple strategy, not just for your personal life but for your business. What's your minimum for business to say? What is the rainy day fund? Are you maintaining that? Is there a savings for your business and your personal life? What do you have, and what kind of expenses can your business actually take that it can afford? So these are things you want to think about and really try and understand that a homemaker is not like a homemaker. There is so much, like, because of that she ran a very successful business. She was able to also make a decision, Zahrah, make a decision when to close the business. She's running a very successful household with her husband, and it's all these lessons that you put together, right?
and like the 30% right,
Now she's going to fall into the 30%.
Yeah. Well, not immediately, Rushma. Yes, I'm just saying, as women and as female entrepreneurs, they too should think of, are you going to have an independent income as you age? right? That is an important. I
But
think,
my
idea.
basic this is don't live beyond your means.
100%.
If you can't afford, just keep quiet. Don't buy what you can't afford.
Just what?
Well,
What? Well,
No, I'm saying.
that's important for business also, right? Like don't
extend yourself.
overextend yourself, and don't, what do you call that in the bank, draft.
Overdraft. Don't
Overdraft.
have ODs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even do things like this is just a sidetrack, but also relevant for something from my business that I did, was where I would give customers things on credit, right? And so that is like looking at, do you have that, can you afford that? Like even personal loans, when you give loans out to people, see if you can afford it, can you sustain before you offer. You might want to help, but you just can't afford that right now, and then you start scrambling or trying to keep your head above water. So those are things that I think, like, I really learned a lot, where I'm thinking like, oh Rushma, what is your rainy day fund? What are you don't have one proper one actually. So it was very helpful, auntie, honestly. Thank you.
But there's something called charity and just giving loans. But I do give loans sometimes when people ask, and if they don't give it back, not a big amount,
You write it off.
I write it off. They can come back to me.
Done.
Huh?
Got it.
Then that's finished. Correct? Huh?
Yeah.
I just give it as them, because if they give it back, so much the better. But if they don't give, I don't ask.
Can a business do that?
Well, you
Write-offs.
will be collecting a lot of
Tax
bad
write-offs.
debt.
No, then
I think
that
eventually
business
you do.
shouldn't give.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right?
But I as a personal, this as a charity, I will give. For a loan, if somebody is in a fix, I will give. But they must have the decency to give it back. No?
Yeah, there are lots of lessons from this experience actually.
Yeah.
Auntie, thank you very, very much. And Zara, thank you for the conversation. And any wrapping up that you want to do?
Now we can have tea now.
So, see you in the 4th episode, and let me know how I did. And hopefully, this recorded.
Please subscribe to our channel.
Oh, yes.